As soon as this house was dried in, it felt like someone fired a starting gun, because like 5 or 6 different subcontractors all started pouring through one after another, working furiously to get their job done. And I set a camera up every single day while they came through. So let's take a look at it. I know for a lot of you builder fellas, this is old news, but for a guy like me who doesn't see it every day, it's new. Our plumber's about 95% of the way done here, so let's go inside and take a look at the work he did. And you guys tell me what you think. I already know there's a few things that are new to me. First thing is right out front here, he's got both the hot and the cold water coming outside here, so you can wash your car with warm water, or your boots or whatever. This is probably typical, but I still think it's cool. Instead of adding a fitting to bring the pipes outside, he just looped them around. That seems pretty smart. Refrigerator water supply, not only did he use Torx screws, which is always nice to see, but I like how he kept it up off the ground a little ways. Now you don't have to bend down to turn it off or on or unscrew the supply from it. That seems really smart. Now we're upstairs. This is the bathroom, that's the tub, and that's a sink. That all looks great. But up here, these are the vents, and not only did he cut them through the roof in a perfect, straight line, but they're equally spaced. They're going out of the back of the house anyway, so you would never see them from the front. Seems like a really nice touch. Last thing is something brand new to me, and it's about the gas. Now this looks pretty typical, at least what I'm used to seeing. That's for the kitchen range. And there's a few other fittings and joints kind of like that. But look at this. On this biggest pipe, he's got these fittings. These are not threaded. It's some kind of compression or some kind of a squeezed fitting. Unfortunately, I wasn't here when he put this together, but you can just imagine how handy that tool must be. You're not cutting threads, you cut the pipe, and then you crimp that thing down on there. And it goes down to the gas meter out there. Here's a look at some of these drains, and you can always tell when a pro did it because it's not covered in blue glue all over the place and running everywhere like if I had done it. The plumber had about a 2-day head start, and then the electrician and his crew came through, and they had to work kind of around each other for about a day. Now, all of these subcontractors are doing their work off of a bid, which means the money they make from doing the job is fixed. Doesn't matter how long it's going to take them or what goes wrong or if somebody's in their way. They get paid when the job is done. And so when a house is crowded with lots of other people and other workers, it can slow you down, which can be annoying since it's costing them time and money that they're not going to get back. So it's not a problem here. These guys are all friends and they work around each other all the time. But I have seen on job sites where different trades can be quite annoyed at each other for even just being at the job at the same time. And I understand why. The general contractor, Mike, was stopping by regularly throughout this period because he has a much bigger picture view of the house and the project, and is therefore able to ensure that all of the locations of these fixtures and outlets and switches and all that, not just that they're in the right spot for convenience for living here, but so they don't cause problems down the road for maybe the cabinet guys or the carpenters doing doors and trim or other considerations that aren't quite as apparent to the electricians here right now. It's pretty common for a tradesman to do a job and do it right, but inadvertently make life difficult for someone else who comes behind them. And most guys who are working are pretty much constantly whining about some aspect of the job site that is done in a way that complicates their life. It's pretty normal. So having another set of eyes like the GC stop by is really helpful because they're able to kind of look more globally,
and anticipate where there might be a problem. And there was a couple things like that here. And it wasn't because of the electricians. It was because of some fixtures and switches that Allie and I had wanted to use, but Mike kind of was able to see like, it's not really going to work out because it's going to cause problems for the trim later on.
You know, you got sheetrock, so really that box is going to be doing that kind of number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you got the half-inch sheetrock, and then that jam, and then you got that stop scribe in the middle and in the backside. So that thing's going to be sitting like that. So
the other thing that's happening right now that's not totally apparent is that Allie, that's my wife, is making design decisions that are kind of permanent, like the locations of light fixtures. And this is easier said than done because you might think, okay, we want to put a light right here, but it matters what the actual light is like. How big is it? How tall is it? How far does it dangle down? Because moving it up 6 inches might make a big difference. If you're building the house, I would highly recommend trying to get the fixtures to the site before the electrician comes. Then there's no guesswork. You're not trying to explain what you might want. You just can show them, this is what we're putting in, and you can really nail down the optimal location of that particular fixture.
Laying out can lights like this is kind of easier said than done. And there's sort of no wrong answer, and there's a lot of ways it could be done, and you got some constraints because you can't obviously put a can light like if there happens to be a gas line or exactly where the floor joist is. So that took a few minutes, and I hope we got it right, but I don't know. I always personally prefer to have can lights closer to the edges of the room than in the center. I feel like the light kind of is less intense. It kind of deflects off the walls and the cabinets a little bit more. Plus in the kitchen, like these cans are situated so that they're gonna land on basically the edge of the countertop, so they're more likely to be on where you're working as opposed to where you're moving around. So I really hope we got it right. Steve, the electrician, and Mike, the GC, were both really helpful and had good feedback because they've done this a time or two, needless to say. But again, it is a judgment call, and there's not necessarily one right answer. It's not like the building code tells you this is where you should put your lights. It's a little bit fuzzier. So, and I know it looks a little odd. These are not perfectly in a line, but it'll make sense later. You'll see why we did that. Same thing in the living room. These lights are way up there.
Well, that about wraps up the electrical work for this phase of the project. And I gotta say, I love electrical work. I learned a lot about it from this guy. This is Rich. He helped me on dozens of projects in Arizona. He is a master electrician, and he taught me a lot about it. I'm just a beginner hobbyist, but I'd say of all the kind of home improvement trades that I'm involved with from time to time, electrical work is my favorite one. And if I was starting my career over, I would probably be heading that direction, I think. Okay, next trades coming through. We've got the HVAC guys and insulation. And unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of great footage of either one of them, so this is gonna kind of go quick.
Well, my whole family is sick except for me and this guy, so we are out here dinking around and admiring the work. As you can see, the insulation is done, and all of the drywall is here on site, ready to hang. By the way, Is drywall and sheetrock, are those synonymous terms? Or is sheetrock the technical term for the material? Will someone educate me on that? Okay, go play. Go play. Now, a couple years ago, I filmed the drywall on our spec house, and the guy who did the work, Darren, was so cool. He let me just get right up close and personal and film every aspect of his trade. And I don't think there's any chance I'm going to subject these guys to that amount of scrutiny. So if you really are interested in the super detailed look, check out that video. But I can't tell you how excited I am to see this place all covered up with rock. Let's see how it goes. It's like you think you know what the rooms feel like and look like once it's framed, and you're kind of like,
now you can't see through the studs.
and you can see the way that the windows are letting light into the rooms. Allie was not a happy girl when she remembered that this post was on the plans. For a long time, they didn't have it in there. They were kind of waiting until the beam leveled out a little bit after getting a little bit of weight on it. And so that's kind of a bummer. I don't think it'll be a big issue, but of course it'd be better if it wasn't there.
I should have mentioned that before the insulation and the drywall went up, the county sent an inspector out to check out the electrical, the plumbing, the HVAC, and even the framing. So that inspection was passed. It was no problem, but obviously it's kind of tough to inspect all that stuff once it's covered. The next video, I'm going to show you all the siding, which was happening right at the same time that this interior stuff was happening. Thanks for watching. Keep up the good work. We'll catch you next time.
Wow, that is so cute. Okay.